President for real estate at Comcast in the cable division, and I oversee design and construction for all capital projects, and I co-manage the real estate department. Probably with IMC, the biggest one we did was our data center. We have a couple mega data centers, and the one that is in the Philadelphia market is in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and we bought the ground with development rights, and we had to go through the whole process of design and construction. We had hired IMC on a design-build basis. Obviously, this was a very high-profile project for Comcast, and a lot of input from various people. You know, we're doing a data center plus. The data center was in one building, and then we have two other buildings that are filled with people. And this was a real opportunity for our people to grow from a very small area that they were crammed into a state-of-the-art facility. And everyone had ideas, and we were able, by doing this on a design-build basis, to get everybody together. I think everyone came out of that project totally happy. The project works, the budget worked for us, and that was a great large project for us. Right now, IMC is probably working on about 4 projects for me in this market. We're doing a couple regional offices. We're doing a very large call center expansion in the market, and they have helped us develop budgets for them all. They're all done on a design-build basis. We have different design teams on some of the projects, and in fact, I'll be at a meeting today on one of those. So we do big and small. Well, I think they're very, very professional. They're very flexible. They'll work in whatever contract format seems to work for the project, which I like. And they're very competitive. They've been tested many times. I don't use IMC exclusively, and their pricing has been tested many times, and they're very competitive. Well, about 11 or 12 years ago, I was a contractor out in the world, and one of my close friends started the real estate department here at Comcast, and he asked me if I could find a firm that could manage projects on a national basis. So we needed to find someone that had expertise in working across the footprint of our market. So I ended up hearing about IMC because I knew they did do work out of the Philadelphia area. And then as I further researched them, I found out about the Citadel Group. And since that time, I have used IMC and all of the Citadel partners. I've worked with every Citadel partner across the country on various projects, from a huge mega data center that we've just finished in Denver to a small fit-out that we're doing right now in Georgia. I've worked with a lot of firms, and there are a lot of good firms, across the country. And I would say IMC is certainly at the top of that range. I've worked with all the Citadel partners, as I've said, and they are all good contractors, and IMC is, right up there with them. But, I trust them. I trust what they're saying. I trust when they tell me I have a problem, I do have a problem. When I went out looking, I couldn't find anyone else who covered that footprint as well. And I also like the idea that I was dealing with local contractors in the market, as opposed to some other firms would have like an office that the marketing came out of, but then when I went to the office in, say, Detroit, I wasn't getting the same level of service that I was promised from the home office in Philadelphia that sold the account. And I had trouble managing the projects because the people in the remote offices weren't that interested. But with IMC and with Citadel, each office is a different company, and this is a big project for them. It's in their market. they know all the subs. They're invested in my project because I have an account that works with Citadel. So that seems to work for me, and that, in fact, it's worked very well. Most of the time I do design build with IMC. We're a very small group here. We only have 7 people and we have 3,200 properties. So we have to depend on outside consultants to help us with what we're doing. We don't have a huge staff in-house, so I find the design build delivery method works best for me. And that's what I've used IMC on most of the time. I bring them in very early, most of the time even when we're doing due diligence in a market looking for space. I'll have someone from IMC there to help us evaluate maybe several different options in the market for buildings. And then they'll help us evaluate, what the cost would be for each one of our deals. They're usually with us throughout the deal as we're working through the terms of the deal. And then once we execute the lease, then we can get started and actually do the fit out of the work. I've also worked with IMC as an owner's rep, and there are many times that I've had a large project, and maybe I decided to use, there was a reason maybe the landlord had their own contractor or design team, that's how the deal was structured. And I needed somebody to sit on our side of the table to help our people in the field. We finished with IMC a 210,000 square foot campus in Livermore, California, and we built a 680 car parking lot that bumped up right against a vineyard in California. And it was just too much for our people. I didn't feel comfortable, so I hired someone from IMC who became our owner's rep. He went out once a week, managed on-site, and then had calls once a week also. And we got through that project fine. There are always challenges in projects. I mean, you're not in this business unless things happen. And I usually am pretty confident. I work a lot with Ted Jeffries, and Ted is a good problem solver. In fact, and I've worked with Jim Kerr. We took Jim Kerr to Little Rock with us to do a new building with a developer that was very difficult. And Jim, his great manner about him, he was able to just smooth everything out, and we got that project done, and it was great. So I am very close with the project in the beginning. I'm very close all during the negotiation of the deal, the building evaluation, all during the due diligence. I'm very close until we strike, and in the early design phases, until we strike a guaranteed maximum price. And I mean, I pretty much know what's going on in every project like that, because it's my responsibility to make sure that before Comcast releases anything, that we have a project that will work for our user group, that the budget, we have the capital set aside for the project, and that everyone has signed off on that, and that the schedule is such that everyone's expectations are, that we have transmitted to everyone what the expectations are, the timing expectations of the project, so that they're not disappointed or they don't understand what's happening. So I spend a lot of my time up front on the projects, communicating all of that between the design and construction team, to our user groups, and to upper management here, so everyone understands before we do anything on a project where we are, what the timing is, and what the cost is. After IMC goes on site during construction, I practically never go. I mean, I read the meeting minutes that come in. Occasionally something happens and I have to get involved, but I hardly ever even see the projects done, because I'm usually on to my next one. So I think that IMC has demonstrated to me in the past that they understand how to manage that process and how to work with the other stakeholders at Comcast. I find that, and I know I work with a young woman here who handles all of the accounting for our projects. She loves to work with IMC because she works with contractors, other contractors, and other people across the country. And she's usually pretty happy if we have an IMC project because she knows it's going to be organized. She knows the paperwork's going to be right. She knows they're going to bill the right way and all of that. So I think the organization skills, professionalism, and the integrity of the employees are what I like best.